Okay, hi. So today we're going to talk thrillers. So I have, periods where getting to sleep is a bit more difficult. And one of the methods that I use is listening to an audiobook that I don't think I'm going to have interest in. So I'm not really concerned with finding the book intriguing enough to keep me up. And funnily enough, the thing that kind of fits this bill for me are thrillers. So I want to go through a list of thrillers that I've not read, but I have listened to chunks of, and talk about how they lulled me to sleep. So I got 8. One of them I actually did finish. Shocking. I don't put these on my Goodreads, and I don't put them as DNFs, and I don't put them as read books, because that's not really the purpose they hold in my experience with them. I don't really consider myself reading them, except for the one. So we're gonna start. I just went to my Libby account and looked at all of the most recent ones I had. So the first one we're gonna talk about is One by One by Ruth Ware. Okay, so I have actually read and completed Ruth Ware books before, but this one is a isolated mystery that I think is a bunch of coworkers that go on a trip to a mountain retreat and get snowed in, and then something happens. I made it basically nowhere in this. I think I got to the beginning event, and this one just immediately made me pass out. So I can't even tell you anything about this one because it did its job and I fell asleep quickly. Okay, the next one is The Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix. I have also read and completed a Grady Hendrix book before. I have read Horror Store. I didn't really like it. I've attempted a few of his others, don't really like them, so I figured this would be a good one for me. And I got a little bit farther into this. So this one is the trope of the final girl, the last person in a situation that lives. It's all of the final girls, and they have a support group. I definitely basically what I do with these, just so it's clear, is I set a timer on them, and then I fall asleep to them, and then somewhere in that 60-minute time frame, and then I just usually pick back up or rewind a little bit, but I'm not rewinding to get the plot because I don't want the intrigue to develop. You definitely had a main final girl you were following, and basically her whole life just revolved around going to this support group, and those were all the scenes I remember getting. And I never got out of the support groups. So if there was plot that happened outside of that sad room where they supported each other or didn't because things started to change within the support group, I didn't see it. I was in that room or I was in her apartment, and I think that was it. So again, did its job very well and put me to sleep. Okay, the next one is The Guest List by Lucy Foley. So I have not read any Lucy Foley's. I've seen Mara at Books Like Whoa review them before and always be it hits all the tropes I want, but it's not doing it, and it does it solidly, but I don't love it. I fell asleep very quickly to this one too. Let me think about this. Okay, so this one is, I think it's a wedding. Let me check. Yeah, so this one is an isolated mystery as well, where they are on an island, and there is a wedding that is going to happen, and the book starts off with something weird immediately occurring, and that's as far as I got in. There was some like maybe like whatever the thing is the day before, like the rehearsal dinner, maybe they were setting up the rehearsal dinner and like maybe, I don't know, maybe something happened. But I don't remember actually getting to the wedding, or if there is a wedding, and not sure why they all get trapped on the island. Maybe a boat doesn't come back. I don't know. Did its job and lulled me to sleep very quickly. Okay, the next one is The Wife Upstairs by Rachel Hawkins. I think I ended up listening to a little bit more of this one than the others. So this follows a woman who is kind of like not really, like her jobs aren't really going well, or she moved recently, so she had to get a job. So she's like dog walking in a rich neighborhood, and then other rich people see her walking dogs and they want their dogs walked, so then she just starts walking for this whole rich neighborhood, and then she like almost gets hit by a car, and it's this man, and his wife recently died, and he gets a dog so that she can walk his dog, and a romance kind of develops from there. And then I have no idea what happens because I fell asleep. So mission accomplished. I think of all of the ones that I've fallen asleep to that I've discussed so far, this was the one that like had me most intrigued. Like I remember a decent amount of its plot. Of what I read, and was like, there was intrigue for me about like what happened to this wife, and like why is this guy being so weird, like buying a dog. If I'm remembering this wrong, I'll feel like an idiot, but I'm fairly certain he bought a dog so that she could walk it. I mean, like, throwing out red flags. I don't know. But anyway, did his job. I fell asleep. Okay, next, The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. I've definitely read one Riley Sager before, Lock Every Door, which I didn't hate and I didn't really love. It was kind of like, it kept me intrigued enough. So that's why I decided to go to him. I have to be honest, I'm rereading the plot of this on Goodreads, and I don't remember any of this. So, supposedly, it's about a recently widowed woman who drinks a lot of wine and watches her neighbors across the street in an isolated area, like near a lake. And, like, maybe it's ringing bells, but, like, I kind of remember a brother, and I'm wondering if I'm thinking of a different book. But obviously did its job if I can't even remember the plot from Goodreads at all, so put me to sleep. So then I went and moved on to The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley. I decided the guest list put me out pretty good, so maybe another one of hers would put me out. I think that they have the same audiobook narrator, which I'm not gonna lie, the audiobook narrator really helps. Maybe it's David Attenborough, like, you know, putting me to sleep so many times watching nature docs, but like a British voice can just like really put me to sleep in a way that American ones are maybe less likely to. I'm not really sure what that says about me or my consumption of David Attenborough, but anyway, I decided to give Lucy Foley another go since she did her job the first time around, and I listened to The Hunting Party. And I'm reading the plot, and again, I don't remember a single thing. A group of friends meet up for a New Year's party that they've been doing for 10 years. And it's an isolated place, so it's an isolated mystery. I vaguely remember, I want to say there are multiple perspectives in this, and I don't even know if I got through 2 of them. I just passed out and I think this is the one where I like kept going back because it was whoever's voice it was just putting me out. And I would like listen to that like first clip, and within minutes I was asleep. And so I never made it into any sort of plot. So like Lucy Foley is really 2 for 2 on like getting me to go to sleep. Okay, so then again, I decided to retry someone. So I decided to try Reckless Girls by Rachel Hawkins, who wrote The Wife Upstairs, which was one I did previously. And again, like The Wife Upstairs, keeping me up a little bit longer and me remembering a lot of the plot. Reckless Girls, I also remember a lot of the plot. And Reckless Girls was one that I like, it was consistently like getting me to sleep. So I would listen to it, and then one night and I'd fall asleep, and then I'd just do the same thing the next day, and I'd maybe backtrack like 30 minutes or like 20 minutes. So I got through the entirety of the audiobook without having listened to most of the audiobook. So I would just like hear things happening later on and hear a character get introduced and be like, okay, and then fall asleep. So this one follows a woman who is in her mid-20s, and she is dating this guy who she finds very fascinating. He had a boat, he grew up in a wealthy family, but he doesn't want anything to do with his parents or his wealth. And they decide to move to Hawaii, and she's like having a lot of dead-end jobs and issues there, and like they had talked about like sailing the world, and she's like, when are we gonna do this? And then he gets this opportunity from these 2 girls that are around her and his age, who are like, we'll give you like 10 grand to bring us to these isolated islands, and we'll like the girlfriend could come too, your protagonist. So then they agree to it, and they go to this place, but they're not the only people there. And they start to befriend the other couple that's there. And one of the girls is acting a little weird, and then I know some things that happen, but I don't know the sequence of events that gets you there. So I would say Rachel Hawkins is not as good at getting me to sleep, but her plots keep me intrigued. So she might actually not be a good bet on getting me to fall asleep. And maybe I should actually try one of her books for real, because these are the ones I remember the most. But that's with the exception of the book that I actually finished. It is A Flicker in the Dark by Stacy Willingham. This is the one I finished. And I would rewind, I would play it, fall asleep, rewind back to where I last remembered, and then do the same thing. But then it got to a point where I was actually so intrigued by what was going on that I started listening to it while I wasn't trying to go to sleep, and then I finished the book. So in this one, you are following a woman who is a psychologist, and this takes place in Louisiana. You kind of like meet her at her engagement party. You see her relationship with her brother, who does not really like the guy that she's getting engaged to, and is like, you barely even know him. And then you see her relationship with her fiance, and then you find out that she is the daughter of a serial killer. And her father is in prison, and she has not talked to him. And then a bunch of girls start getting murdered in a way that is similar to the way that her father did it many years ago. So you kind of watch this woman mentally unravel, and you get like flashbacks of like her history, and like how she does or doesn't cope with her past. And you kind of see relationships that she has with people close to her kind of unravel in ways as her mental health kind of unravels. And she gets really invested in these murders that are happening and trying to figure out what is going on. I enjoyed the book, but it failed in what it set out to do for me, which was help me to fall asleep. Did I fall asleep as I was reading it? Yes, but I got to a stage where, like, I actually had to read it outside of the context of trying to fall asleep, because I knew if I tried to listen to it falling asleep, it would just keep me up. So fail on that part. But the only one from this list that actually, like, I count as a read book. This is the last one. This is actually the one I am currently using as my crutch to fall asleep. And this is Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. So I'm getting kind of deep into this one and missing huge chunks of what's going on. I have not read any Alice Feeney, and I've heard kind of mixed things about her, which is kind of why I decided to pick up one of her books for this. So it is about a couple who are maybe a decade into their marriage and are having relationship issues, and he has a condition, has an actual name, but like facial blindness, where he like can't recognize faces. But he works as like a writer, like a screenwriter and stuff, and I don't know what the hell she does, maybe works an office job, but she wins a trip to a isolated place through her work, and I don't really actually know what the creepy thing is that starts happening, because I always fall asleep when those things are occurring. So I see a lot of their really toxic relationship, and you see both of their perspectives. Like, his internal dialogue and the way he thinks about his wife is like absolutely atrocious. And yeah, then scary things happen, and because their relationship is failing and like he doesn't actually care about her, he doesn't really give a shit when she's freaking out. And yeah, I mean, it's helping me fall asleep. I think it's funny that I have no idea what the actual conflict is that's going on, because I'm never awake for those parts. So yeah, did its job, helped me fall asleep. Alice Feeney is now on the list of authors that I can listen to try to mitigate my insomnia. So anyway, this has been a kind of strange video, but when I was thinking of books that I've been interacting with, this came to mind, so I decided to make one and share them with you. So please give me suggestions of books, thrillers, that have audiobooks. Could be a mystery too, could be horror, I don't know, that have audiobooks that you think I might fall asleep to. But that is all I got, so until next time, happy reading.